Lucinda Kurshensteiner is interested in making wheelchairs for Africa and wonders what would be an affordable wheelchair. About 12 years ago, I brought a wheelchair that was perfectly acceptable from Vietnam. I bought it for $50. It was made out of bicycle parts. I think a reasonable target today, since prices have gone up some, is a wheelchair that retails for $60. That may not have all the bells and whistles, but the wheelchair that was made in Vietnam, I brought it back to Ralph Hotchkiss, and he was quite impressed with it. It was not a bad quality. Here are some of the problems with wheelchairs. One of the basic things that I found when I was working on developing affordable wheelchairs is that the need for wheelchairs in any country and the customer base for it is usually inflated in the common figures that people refer to. The problem that I ran into is that the people who make wheelchairs are interested in making the problem bigger than it really is. So there's a big difference between having 1 million people who need wheelchairs in Vietnam and having 25,000 people who need wheelchairs in Vietnam. The specific problem with relation to affordability is that you can usually bring the price down in volume. So what you have to do to design a $60 retail wheelchair is make sure that the design is such that you can get to that price point without great volume. That may mean using high volume components like bicycle components, or there are other strategies. I think one of the issues that I ran into in many countries, and that's where I had some fairly interesting discussions with somebody like Ralph Hotchkiss, who's a wheelchair designer, but he's also a wheelchair user, is that if you don't have the right quality of wheelchair, people develop the equivalent of bed sores and so on. So you need to have at least the basic features that are not going to make people worse. The real problem, though, when you look at wheelchair user needs, in a country like Nepal, in the hills of Nepal, if you fall out of a tree and become paralyzed, you become an invalid. And if you're quadriplegic or paraplegic and your family has to take care of you, the reality is that there's a very high mortality rate. Some wheelchairs, even though they're not ideal, would give mobility and access to jobs, which is life-saving. So I think it's very important to introduce a $60 wheelchair retail, and once people have mobility and have access to jobs, they can go to a better wheelchair. It's the same basic principle of design that we faced with treadle pumps or with drip irrigation. You can start with a simpler, smaller system that is cheaper and earn enough money to go to a better system if that's your choice. Good luck with your wheelchair project.